everyone, I'm Lydia from Novelty, and today we're doing the currently reading book tag. I got tagged by Hannah from Way of Delight. It's a blog, not a YouTube channel, but I thought it would be fun to do it as a vlog instead of a blog. So thank you, Hannah, for tagging me. The first question is, how many books do you generally read at once? And I guess that depends on if you count audiobooks or not, and I don't generally count audiobooks along with the books I'm reading, so I'm just going to leave audiobooks out. But recently I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks. But as for reading, just reading, I probably generally have at least 2 to 3 or 4 books going at once. I always have a nonfiction book going, and sometimes 2 or 3 nonfiction books plus a fictional book. Number 2, how do you decide when to switch up with what books you're reading? And that generally is in the daytime. I read a lot of nonfiction if I have a few minutes to read, or if I'm gone someplace and I have my Kindle and I'm reading a book on my Kindle, I'll read that. But for the most part, I read nonfiction during the day and fiction at night. Number 3, do you ever switch bookmarks partway through a book? And yes, I definitely do that. I generally use anything I have around as a bookmark, and it's a lot of times it's a 3x5 card with my goals on it, or just a random piece of paper, or sometimes my phone, or just anything. So I'm always switching up bookmarks. Number 4, where do you keep the books you're reading? My office downstairs has a couch, and it has a pretty wide arm on the couch, plus it's up against the wall, so that creates a really nice little bookshelf for the books I'm reading, plus my Bible and my quiet time journal. I also have a little shelf near my chair where I also keep the books that I want to read next, or library books, or books I have up for review next. Number 5, what time of day do you generally read? And I read a lot in the evenings or at night. I generally read for a while before I go to sleep. But in the daytime, I'll read nonfiction, or if I have a book for review that needs done, then I'll read that. And sometimes I reward myself by reading a fiction book that I'm really into, and if I have a little bit of a break, I'll be like, yes, I can read now. Number 6, how long do you normally read in one sitting? This varies very, very greatly. I can read for up to like 7 or 8 hours in a sitting if I'm like caught up on everything else and have a book to review, or if I'm sick, or if it's late at night and the next, like Friday night sometimes, I'll be like, oh, Saturday I get a rest, so I'll just read and read and read and read. So I can read for a really long time at once, but it's not uncommon at all for me to just read for 3 to 5 minutes at once, so it varies greatly. Number 7, do you read hardbacks with the dust jacket off? And the answer to that is a big resounding yes. I cannot handle it when it slips and slides and stuff, although sometimes if it fits nicely or if it's taped on like from the library, then I'll just leave it and it's fine. Number 8, what position do you generally read in? I have a couch, which I mentioned before, that I keep my books on, and I generally read laying down on that. Number 9, do you generally take the book you're currently reading with you places? And I used to take books with me everywhere, but once I started driving more, I realized there's not as much time to just pick up a book and read a couple chapters. So I almost always have my phone with me, which has a Kindle on it, and I read a lot off that. But as for a physical copy of a book, I do it a fair amount of the time, but not all the time like I used to. And the last question is number 10. How often do you update Goodreads with the book you're reading? And I don't do it very often. With a nonfiction book, I generally just update it at the end unless there's something I just was like, whoa, and really want to share about, or a quote that I really like, or a plot twist that totally took me by surprise. But with nonfiction, I update it a little more often because it takes me longer to read through a nonfiction book, and so therefore I have more time to update it. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much, Hannah, for tagging me. I will leave a link to her blog in the description below, so y'all should check it out.